we won't keep you too long, but we'll get some thoughts of the guys here. We'll start with Pav. First of all, congratulations on the Mad Medal and your outstanding career. Tell us a little bit about retirement for you, how you're travelling, and what do the next 6 to 12 months look like for you?
It's been good, thanks, Joey. It's great to be able to be here on a Tuesday night and enjoy a beer, actually, for the first time. Yeah, look, it's been enjoyable. We've had essentially 6 months off, so wife and I welcomed our third child into the world 2 weeks after my last game, and so we've had 3 under 4, so it's been pretty hectic. I said to Lauren, we're going to have to finally buy that TV, I think, so find something else to do with our time. That's an attempt at a joke there, Sam.
Just slip me a card or something.
But so, mate, been good. Looking forward to some business and media roles this year. But I've really enjoyed it and embraced life after footy so far.
Well done. And Sam, we'll go with you. I've been reliably told off a reliable source you had a haircut specifically for tonight. Is that correct?
That's not correct, but yes, I did have a haircut tonight. But while we're on individual gags, it's just been a pleasure to watch your seamless transition to the dark side, to the media side, and you've really come into your own. It's just been a pleasure to watch, Joey.
Thanks, Sam. Righto. Let's play it on the record. Tell us a little bit who you barrack for, who your favourite players are in the comp, and a couple of your experts' predictions for this season, seeing you're an expert journalist.
Okay, right. Okay, Joey. I barrack for Carlton.
Right.
What best player all time?
A couple of your favourite players and current players.
Love watching Anthony Koutafidis. Just love the way he revolutionised the midfield. Current players. Love watching Danger play. Looking forward to Nat Fyfe coming back bigger and better this year. Love watching Fyfe play. Prediction for this year. I think the Hawks will be back with a vengeance.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Beautiful.
Really bold prediction, isn't it?
That's all right. That is a good prediction. Emma, welcome. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Players Association now to be on the association. It's good to have some women representatives. And how have you assessed the Western Bulldogs season this year? How have you found it?
Well, the Western Bulldogs haven't been tracking too well. We started off the season with a nice win over Freo, but unfortunately we've lost all our games since. So thanks for reminding me of that. No, but in terms of the whole season, though, it's been fantastic. We've had massive crowds at Whitten Oval, the home of footy for the Bulldogs. So, it's been a great experience for me so far.
And what are your predictions for the finish to the women's season? Who do you think will win it? Who's going to win the best player in the competition?
I think Brisbane are looking the goods at the moment. They've got a quick team and. They'll probably look to get a home ground advantage for the final by the looks of it. They're undefeated at the moment, but we're playing them this weekend, so hopefully we can knock them off. In terms of the women's Brownlow, I don't know. I think probably Erin Phillips is looking pretty good at Adelaide at the moment. She's cross codes from basketball, but she's been playing really well.
And while we're chatting away, tell us a little bit about your journey to get to the Western Bulldogs, where you've started your football, how long you've been playing for, and the transition to the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, so I grew up in a really small country town, and I kicked the footy around with my 2 brothers growing up, but unfortunately it wasn't really a pathway for me growing up in the country. So I started playing football when I was 20 at Melbourne Uni, and from there I played in a few representative sides, was drafted in the first women's draft to the Bulldogs back in 2013, and from there I was picked up as a priority pick for the Bulldogs for this season.
Excellent. And Pav, you've been playing 17, 18 years of AFL. What's been the biggest change in your time in the football, and what do you think are the biggest challenges for players going forward from here?
Look, I think it's almost one and the same. In a lot of ways, the scrutiny and the level of lack of, I guess, anonymity for players these days is at an all-time high. Wherever you go, there's a camera phone. Wherever you go, there's scrutiny on players. And when
Whose fault is that, mate? Come on.
Pardon?
What, is that our fault?
Yeah, and the general public.
Yeah.
Both. I'm putting you in the same boat.
Okay.
But so, or iPhones. I'm going to blame iPhones. So yeah, basically, that didn't happen when I first started. I arrived at Fremantle, believe it or not, without a phone, without a mobile phone. That's how H and I am. So times have certainly changed in that way. We could go down the pub and have a few beers, and you wouldn't really, you wouldn't be known that much. In Perth, obviously, a bit more because of the Turn-T town and such a big tour, but you could get away with a fair bit more, and I think that's a big issue for players in that it's becoming so all-encompassing that what's the byproduct of that? What's an unintended consequence of that? There's issues out there in society. Psychologically, drugs, whatever it is, self-harm, I'm not suggesting that's something that may happen, but I think sometimes we always see the upside in a lot of these, new technologies and whatnot, and the upsides commercially of what that means. But what's on the other end of that? So I would say that's the biggest change that I've seen.
And what do you think going forward? Is that still going to be the biggest challenge, the social media aspect?
Looking at it, I think just still getting the balance right between, we want players go out of the game as better people, not just better footballers or better athletes, but better people. And as the game becomes more professional, we're negotiating a CBA at the moment, but as the more dollars come in the game, clearly there's a commercial aspect to that, and that's important to the players and the competition. But we want better rounded people that go out. So, having basically done 2 degrees over 17 years, sounds depressing that I studied for that long, but it gave me a balance outside of the game. And being in the game allowed me to do that. So, as I said, having more rounded, better athletes and people exit the game is important.
And Sam, from your perspective, from a journalist's perspective, what do you think the relationship's like with the players of the current day compared to maybe what it might have been like 10 or 15 years ago before social media was around?
Well, as far as going back maybe 12, 15 years, relationships are a lot harder to foster with players. And that probably gets back to what Pav's saying is there's a lot more of us now. There's a lot more interest. The microscope is so much closer that it's actually quite hard to get in front of you guys. I mean, once we do fight through, I don't know how frank we can be, the mountains of red tape at Clubland now, I reckon the relationships are really good. But, we both have our issues, no doubt about that. But the relationships are really good once you get through all that. Social media-wise, I think that's a positive, and it can be a danger as well. And Pav mentioned the invasiveness, but I mean, it's probably only as invasive as the players let it in a social media sense. And I mean, yes, they're high profile, but they're not the only people around the world to get social media abuse or bullying or be victimised in that way. But I think the relationships are pretty good, mate. You probably should answer that just as much as me.
No, I think they are pretty healthy at the stage now, aren't they? I think we all generally get on with the journalists. I think the issue maybe for some players is with the social media age that maybe some journalists, and I'll ask you what it's like to try and the balance between getting out a story that maybe is well researched, it's quite thorough versus a bit of clickbait, trying to get a story out there that's a headline grabber before social media takes hold. How do you find that balance, and is that accurate? A statement, and what do you think the balance is there?
We love clickbait. In fact, if there's 2 words we don't use more, it's clickbait. All the time, clickbait. No, it's not. Of course, it's not. Social media, probably the biggest danger in my profession is it used to be lay down misère, accuracy first, being first second. Now, if I can be frank, I reckon the social media, not just Twitter, but Facebook, not just Facebook, but SEN.
Acknowledge that, but I think now we'll talk about social media and various. So if there's a story blew up today,
it gets ripped straight away.
Yeah, and that's right. I can read it on a million different sort of sources. So, I was just
to a degree. I mean, if it's as I say, if it's a real bona fide one, like an absolute ripper.
What's an example?
Gillon McLaughlin is about to resign, and you're taking over as the boss of the game, right? And I've got quotes from you.
Sounds good.
And I've got quotes from Gillon. You can't rip that. I mean, you'll be attributing, the quoting was, not to get too nitty-gritty, but you'll be attributing the Herald Sun in your reproduction.
So my question was, there's not any examples to this point, so it'd have to be a huge...
Rare stories. They're rare stories. Yeah, they're rare stories.
Oh, thank you for that.
You might have just
that was good.
See what I mean? He's really come into his own with this, hasn't he?
Emma, back to the women's competition. And you girls must be proud to be the pioneers of this new competition. How have you seen it this season as a whole, the whole competition? How will you see it evolve? And from your perspective, what does it mean to young girls across the country and what they can look forward to in years to come?
Yeah, I think it certainly surprised me as to how many people have been attending the games. I mean, I suppose it helps that it's free, but still to get the big crowds that we have been is really pleasing. I know I went to the first one, the Collingwood-Carlton game, and to get 24,000 in a lockout was pretty incredible. I think in years to come, when there's more, I suppose, established pathways for the women, we'll hopefully get more teams into the competition, which then obviously the skill level will only increase and then more, I guess, commercial value will come into it, and hopefully at that stage we'll have full-time athletes. At the moment I'm sort of juggling teaching full-time and also footy part-time, I guess. So I think for young girls coming through, it gives them role models to look up to. I loved James Hird growing up as an Essendon supporter, so I think for young girls now, they've got, I guess, role models in the media that they can look up to.
And how do you think the women have handled the media attention? Has it been something that girls have embraced? Have they struggled at times with the attention, or is it they've just lapped it up?
Oh, I think a few girls laugh it up a little bit. I don't know. I like to sort of steer clear of it a little bit, so it doesn't really bother me. As a teacher, my students are probably my harshest critics. They usually look at my stats, or if I've got hit late after I've disposed the ball, they used to Snapchat it or something like that. So, yeah, they probably give me the most stick out of everyone.
Very good. And we'll just wrap up with just a couple of quick questions that you can all answer. I asked Sam already, but Pav, maybe your favourite player or two over your whole career that you played with or against?
Guys that I admired so many, but probably Bob Murphy and Nick Riewoldt, two guys. So Bob was the same draft as me, and he's still going, so it's great to see. Both for his on-field abilities, but clearly, I guess, his eccentricities and his humour off it. And Rui just admired because he played a similar position and been at a club that's sort of had its ups and downs.
Emma, you mentioned your favourite AFL male player. What about if you could get a female into your team? If you could trade for one of the girls from another team, who would you take?
It's a good question.
Probably
maybe Taylor Harris. She's loves to take a big specky, so I wouldn't mind, as a midfielder, I wouldn't mind kicking to her in the forward line.
And what about your favourite journalist in all of football? Do you know any?
Sam.
Oh, very good.
No, we'll go Eliza Sewell. She loves a headline, so we'll go with her.
Beautiful. Pav, favourite journalist over your time? Anyone?
I don't think too hard about it. Gee, surely someone...
Is Dennis a journalist? Dennis Committee? He was technically he's a journalist. He worked for the ABC, and so if it's not Dennis, let's go with Mark Duffield over in the West. Get along well with Duff.
Sam, whose work do you love?
Oh, geez, it's pretty hard to go past The Godfather. When I first started, Mike Sheehan was obviously in his absolute prime. Mind you, his prime stretch for a bloody long time. Just for the fact that he was so widely respected by so many different players, which is so hard to do because you have to write hard stories about players and yet he retained their respect. And I really thought that was pretty special. What
about your least favourite journalist too? Have you had some... Who have you had
a
run?
No,
it all stays in here. It's all
no. I don't think I'm glass half full, man. I don't think like that.
Pav, anyone you've had any journalists you've had any run-ins with? Anyone that's sort of... Now that you retired, you can say it.
Robert Walls gave us a couple of clips, so yeah, probably him.
Emma, anyone written any bad comments about you yet?
Oh, Eliza Sewell said that I was a bit of a sledger, so we'll go with her as well.
Righto, okay. And last question before we wrap up. If you could change one thing about the game, you're in charge for a day, you could change one thing about the game, what would it be? Whoever can go, whoever's got one first.
More journos after the game. Much more.
I wouldn't mind changing that third man rule back to what it was.
Scrap it?
Yeah, scrap it.
There we
Shocking.
Go. Yeah, very good. I just want to thank the three for coming up here today and sharing their thoughts. Thank you. Sam, keep up the good work. Pav, well done. And Emma, good luck for the rest of the season. Thank you.